Welcome, everyone. It is January 22nd, and we're here for our target discussion, remote viewing, a really special exercise tonight. It's been a month in the making. We've got a good amount of sessions turned in and a very level group of remote viewers. We've got several methodologies represented, several countries represented, and we've got everything from just sketches to retasking summaries to some site location information. We're going to use Google Earth tonight. We have some experienced operational kinds of folks who have sent some sessions in. And we have Lynn Buchanan here, trainer of Problem Solutions Innovation, who teaches remote viewing, and he teaches controlled remote viewing, but here he also offers his expertise and time free of charge to all methodologies of remote viewing and what he's learned about it. So this is really a great place for anyone who wants to just sit in and listen about remote viewing in general and learn, or various methodologies can contribute sessions, and Lynn will help interpret for the rest of us who aren't familiar with that particular methodology, and we all learn that way as well. So there's a lot of little side benefits from our Wednesday gatherings, informal such as they are. So I have this picture up here just so that you can see the major focus of the originally tasked target, and that was me feeding geese. So I am going to switch over to my desktop where we can get to Google Earth and to the feedback and to hopefully eventually the sessions, kind of depending on how this goes. So let me see, we have another arrival here, and welcome, Kristen. So let me get changed over. And I'll get my screens back up. Just helps me keep an eye on things. And when you text in your comments, if you have any comments or questions, there's an ellipsis there that lets you have a drop-down menu right above where you type in. It says all participants. And even if you type it only to me, it's going to show up in the recording. So if you would like to type in questions, all participants is really the better way to go. But I read them anyway just to make sure that they get recorded so that everybody has a chance to learn from everyone. So, sorry, needed to get a little drink of water there. So here is our feedback. And this is going to be there are going to be several opportunities for you to learn tonight. This is going to be different from what we did last year, where we just took a field trip, y'all viewed a target, talked about the location, and this year we're starting out with a little more focus. Lynn gave a discussion 2 weeks ago on topology and geography and how to better describe with sensories and dimensionals what you were seeing at a location and why it might be important. I'm going to expand upon that tonight because I want you to learn what I need to see when I look at your session for operations. Most everyone is here, operations meaning the military term, so you could say applications, but the long and the short of it is most of us would like to be more than parlor tricks with this. We'd like to think that we could use it for something useful. It's a great self-development tool, that's for sure, control remote viewing or remote viewing in general, whatever you learn about it. But if you want to use it in a purposeful and focused way so that your subconscious can describe for you when you need it to do the work, not just random, we're going to offer some exercises I hope that will help you expand on how you think, what you think insofar as what you get in results, and send you away with some homework, because if you're going to research your sessions against, some of the things you might learn, then, hopefully you're going to learn a whole lot. Sorry, Marco, I just muted you. Did you need to say something? I was just getting feedback, so I was looking to see where it was coming from. So anyway, if you need to speak, go ahead. Otherwise, if that was an accident, I'm just going to keep rolling. Sorry. So essentially, we started out with an initial target, and you had until now, and to turn it back into me, and I would give you a retasking if you wanted. So the blind tasking for target 140108 was the target is an activity at a location, describe the activity and location. So then I have some information about this. This target is the park in Troy. It's located on a levee, and it's a long walkway, and it's a flood wall. There's a long flat area, floodplain between this levee and the Great Miami River, which you can see off to the left. But anyway, the activity was me feeding the ducks. So let me just read this. Make that geese. They'd probably be offended. Okay, orientation. This photo was taken facing east, and the North Market Street Bridge can be seen in the distance. It's 37 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a soft, steady rain, and it's melting the recent heavy snow, and it's right before the polar vortex came in, a day or two. And the heavy snows were melting, which allowed this flock of geese to forage for food in the grass at the Troy City Park. The walkway is located on the Great Miami Recreational Trail with the Great Miami River and the city of Troy to the south. The high school football stadium is located to the northeast. The newly reconstructed Adams Street Bridge was directly downriver to the west, or behind to my back as I was standing there facing the sidewalk. Normally, this is a popular place for outdoor activity, but in the late afternoon on this day, the geese have it all to themselves except for the photographer. That's because everybody else was at the grocery store preparing for the great polar vortex and the horrible freezing temperatures that were coming. The photographer, in a hooded black waterproof nylon coat, must have seemed very scary at first as the entire flock headed for the river. Then they recognized an evidently familiar movement, which was human throwing bread. Two brave geese led the way, and back up the levee they came, lickety-split. And they spotted me. They must have some good eyesight because they spotted me throwing bread all the way from the water down there, and back up they came. So the ambiance in general was hushed, and the city sounds were muffled by the patter of rain falling steadily onto the trees, the snow, and the nylon coat, until the flock added their enthusiastic honking to both the sound and the atmosphere, and it was a natural-sounding orchestra. I enjoyed it. You might probably pick up on that. You can see them, some of the folks were going for the bread at my feet. Geese forage on grass naturally, but bread is yummy too. And I just had a request to mail the feedback, and yes, I will try to remember to do that. And I can always do that, and I probably should, but the photographer had 3 loaves of sliced bread dangling vertically, which interested everybody. To avoid accidental ingestion of wire bread wrapper twist ties, only 1 loaf was torn open at a time, which let a little rain inside the wrapper, but nobody seemed to care. Nobody was afraid, and there was plenty for everyone, and several geese preferred to eat directly from the photographer's hand. And geese are natural guards, 2 guards, so if anybody picked up on that, it's packed. 2 guards, 1 stood at the front out of camera range and 1 at the rear by the sidewalk, and they kept a watchful eye on everyone while everyone ate. When everyone was finished, they stood down, and the guard in the front had to maintain constant vigil left a pesky and persistent seagull steal some of the food, because there was one and it was trying its best. The photographer managed to make sure some bread landed where the gull could grab it on the fly. And when the 3 loaves were gone, it was time to go. Back down the levee and across the floodplain to the open water of the Great Miami. The newly rebuilt Adams Street Bridge can be seen to the west. Remember that for later. These photos show the degree of incline and length of aspects of the levee and flood wall to the north. Sorry, this is supposed to be down. Let me save that. The geese were fed a few feet east of the gazebo. The Miami County Courthouse and the brick smokestack from its power plant can be seen to the south. The river and floodplain are located between. The photographer had to wait until a clear day for these images, which was today, and it was really cold. And I understand that as a strict target, this is not good. I'm feeding into it. I'm feeding you more than a purist would like, but I want you to learn something more from this session, because you can do practice sessions yourself. You can sit at home. You can compare your feedback stuff to images and whatever you learn about that site, but I want you to learn more today. So there you can see the gazebo and the smokestack from the power plant that is for the courthouse, and the courthouse in the background, and the incline, and there's just a little bit of length. I mean, this trail runs for miles and miles. Then the retasking exercise was actually the bridge. There's more to this, you're going to see. So here's the bridge itself, and the marker. Now, these were taken from the construction site. So again, I apologize if I'm bouncing you around through time and space, because obviously these are not winter photos, but they were the best ones that I could get for you to check your perceptions if you were able to get the bridge and the construction. And these came off the architect's website. They did something unusual with this bridge. The panels that you see in the front, it's not an actual solid piece of the bridge. I mean, it is solid. Here you can see it, but they're panels. And it's pretty cool. It gives a lookout, the lookouts above it, but it gives the aesthetic appearance to the front of that bridge. It probably saves a lot of dollars in construction. And here again is part of the path and the water when it was higher. And then down at the bottom, the links. So, I know I have bounced you around a little bit in time and space, and you're going to wonder what the heck, and how in the world, you didn't get the target, and what did you do, etc., etc. So let's bring up Google Earth and look at the location. Now, if there were a customer in operations applications who needed to know information about a location, so now we have a good location to practice and we can look at. So this is Google Earth in general, and if you can see my cursor, kind of right here is the courthouse, and pretty much right across the river is where I fed the geese. Behind that is a football stadium, because I'm thinking that some of you in your initial sessions, so that I would know if you as a viewer had site contact, if I or the customer knew anything about this location, there are several indicators. So some of you, I think, might have been drawn to describe the stadium. Some of you might have been drawn just above the stadium. So here's Troy Memorial Stadium. The high school, Troy High School, is right here. Troy Aquatic Park. I think some of you got that. Here here we go, Troy Park Shelter Reservations and Hobart Arena. They have ice skating there currently, and there are also music concerts and lots of other things that go on there. And just above that, a little bit to the left, pretty much kind of keep on going straight up from the Hobart Arena, and right across where those roads intersect is a cemetery. And there's a large memorial there to servicemen as well. And I think some of you may have picked up on that. So when you were retasked, as I said, the main activity was me feeding the ducks. But if I or the customer recognize that any of these perceptions that you might have been either attracted to for whatever reason, or your site orientation might have been off. So maybe you landed at the duck feeding, which was close to the gazebo, but maybe you were looking at one of these structures and it's what impressed you and imprinted just bang. So I want you to think about, when you look at your session results, am I always coming in at a target facing such and such? Do I need to turn myself around? When I come in at a target, am I viewing it at the proper orientation and the proper size so that things are in perspective? Or do I always need to give myself a command that gets me, at the proper orientation? Then the bridge to the east is here. This is the it says downtown Troy, but this is the North Market Street Bridge. And here is the Adams Street Bridge and Treasure Island Park. There's just the straight Adams Street Bridge. So let me see if I can get us to zoom in, and then we can start trying to look at some sessions, and hopefully y'all won't get dizzy here. And there's the gazebo. So I would have probably been about right here. Sorry about, oh, there we go. Hello. Those landings are always a little rough. You also can't see very well. It's also hard to figure anything out. All right, so we can do a little 360. We'll look left first. All right, so there's the football field. And there's the bridge. This was not the bridge that you were tasked with. And I also said something to Lynn, the end result of this whole month of exercise was the Adams Street Bridge. So I think some of you jumped right to it, and your subconscious knew that that's what was supposed to be, and the ducks were kind of a fun thing. You didn't really care about the geese, rather. So anyway, spun us around. There was the football stadium. Here is the aquatic park. The big white rectangle is the Hobart Arena. The rust-colored squares over there are the cemetery. And there, coming into view, is the Adams Street Bridge. And I was down there today, and it's not quite 0.2 of a mile. So I didn't want to, when I phrased the retasking, I did go ahead and front load you with man-made, because I was afraid to say some taskings will tell you to describe the most prominent feature. Well, I have water enthusiast friends and family. The river would be the most exciting feature, or most prominent one, because they jet ski, they fish, they do all kinds of water activities, so they probably wouldn't have cared about the bridge. They would have thought that the river would have been the most exciting thing. So anyway, that's why I went ahead and tried to front load you with the man-made to see if you would face the west and describe the bridge. And again, this was just an exercise for everybody and an opportunity to practice. So Lynn, before we look at sessions, would you like to jump in and say anything?
Like a very neat target with a lot of things going on all around it. And the tasking had been to describe the activity at the location. And your paper there says describe the activity and the location. So it'll be interesting to see what people focused in on. They'll focus in on generally what's most important or what's most interesting to them. When you said the man-made, because you didn't want to say the most interesting object, if a customer knows the location, they will say something like, describe the man-made, off to the right or whatever. If a customer has no idea what the location is, they may often say, describe the most interesting thing, and that you can see from your vantage point or whatever. And then once the whole team starts describing everything of interest to them, they say, okay, we're looking for a place with this over on the left, that over on the right, and so on. We had 2 missing abducted soldiers over in Iraq, and they wanted to know where they were being held hostage. And so we had a team view the surroundings rather than the soldiers. And, they had no idea. And one viewer got a mosque-like building with blue tiles on the front, and another one got a place where there was smell of bread being made, and so on. And with that, the military team over there actually found the location, and it took them 2 or 3 days to get permission to go into it. And so the 2 hostages were gone by the time they got there. But that was exactly where the hostages were being held. And we found that out. Well, they found that out only by giving vague tasking. And so there are sometimes when you will get vague tasking, but generally the rule is the more specific the task, the more specific the answer the viewers are going to find. So,
can you say, for somebody who knows that they always come in and need to turn themselves to look at the target, how would someone actually say that to themselves or give themselves a move command?
This is called the orientation problem, and it's very common among remote viewers of all kinds.
Right.
And what you do basically is as you feel like you get to the target, you start picking up perceptions, you just give yourself turn and face the target and describe. And your subconscious will do it. And, if you're already facing the target, well, then it'll stay there. But many times you'll get you'll wind up at the target, you'll be upside down, you'll be facing the wrong direction and all that. One of the ones where you're almost guaranteed to be facing the wrong direction is a training target where they give you the target to describe the surface of the sun. You will always wind up with your back to the sun. It never fails. I've never seen it fail. So then you have to tell the viewer, turn around 180 degrees and describe what you see. And the viewer says, whoa. But that's a very early stage 1 training target. But I've never seen it fail that the viewer will always wind up at the site with their back to the sun.
then what would you say to a viewer who notices that, because it takes a few sessions to start figuring out that things are just not quite right. So what if the viewer comes in and they're a Lilliputian and everything is huge, or the opposite?
Well, this is where one of the move commands comes in so handy, and why it should almost always be used when you first get sight contact.
Right.
Because even if you say turn toward the target, the giving of a move command 99% of the time will correct the sight orientation problem. So you wind up standing on your head facing the wrong way, and you say, move 1 inch closer to the target. You will move 1 inch closer to the target, and you'll be upright and facing it. The move command seems to take care of the sight orientation problem every time.
Okay, so for folks who aren't able to be with us and are listening, when you first get sight contact, it's a good habit to get into if you say turn and face the target, the assigned target, and describe.
Right.
That's a general good rule of thumb.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be that specific move command. Like I say, you can say move 1 inch closer to the target, or move away from the target, and no matter what the move command, unless you move 14 billion miles away or something, but no matter what the move command, it will tend to correct any sight orientation problem you have.
Okay. So then that takes care of the Lilliputian versus giant issues, as well as if you landed facing anywhere else, that one move command is going to fix everything, usually.
A move command will fix everything. It doesn't have to be that specific one of turn and face the target. Yeah.
Okay, because after the last few sessions I've been seeing people turn in, I thought maybe we should actually have a little discussion about this. So that was my point, why I did that tonight.
Yeah, there are times when you'll wind up at the target and you are 50 miles tall, and, Paris looks like an anthill or something like that. And there are times when you'll wind up 5 millimeters tall, and a coffee cup will look like a huge, oil tank or something. And those things happen. We don't know why, and they don't just happen to beginners. You're in this for the next 50 years. All of a sudden, some session, man, you'll wind up with a sight orientation problem, and you'll be laying on your side and describe the Eiffel Tower as this thing going from left to right.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let me see if I can shrink this, get the feedback up, and look at some sessions. We are not going to be able to scroll through all of these sessions line for line the way we usually do.
You know what would interest me?
Sure, what?
Is instead of looking through the sessions this time, since we don't have the time and all that, look only at the summaries.
That's what I was going to do, believe it or not. Are you psychic? Are you psychic?
I must be psychic or something.
Man.
One of them
maybe you should do that
psychics.
for a living, or try, at least try a little side work. That's what I was going to do. So, okay, I have no idea. Some of these are labeled with names, and some don't all have names. So I'm just going to go down through them, and, this one's Michelle's. And if I miss anybody, I can go looking for it if I have to, because we've had a lot of time for people to work these and send them in. So, yes, and for everybody, just to refresh, your summary is where you've gone through your session and decided what is conscious mind junk, and you didn't include it in your summary. And your summary is your subconscious mind perceptions. So should always start out with describing the aspects of the site. And I know, yeah. I'm sorry for anybody
I'm
offending about CRV. What?
Can I drag out my soapbox and make a little preacher here? Oh, no, she says. When you do a session, there's going to be logic and imagination and castle building and all kinds of stuff all the way through your session. If you turn in your session to a customer, or if you try to score your session, you're mixing all this garbage in with all the good. So at the end of every session, please, if you're ever going to do anything with the remote viewing, please learn to make a summary. It's most important. It's called just sifting out the bad stuff and giving the good. And you'll find that when you do that and you start dealing with only the good information, you wind up still remote viewing, and you start getting a bunch of really, really, really good stuff. And so the writing of the summary is not just for the customer or for your records or whatever. It's also for you, because once you purify the information, drop all the garbage out, man, information starts flooding into you. And this is what we say in CRV, is you can still remote view while you're doing your summary. And it's a very important habit to build. Okay, I'll tuck away the soapbox and quit now.
That's all right. Somebody was getting strong moth impressions, and you even made a note about it, like why you would get that. Well, here are two structures that have, if you put a mosque overlay, they don't function the same, but they do have somewhat similar shapes. I wanted to point that out. On our way to the pictures of the bridge, which is what we're supposed to be looking at for the retasking. So, again, there are going to be some nouns mixed in here, which we don't want, and the perceptions are what we do. And so here we go. This is Michelle's, and she is hearing ship horns, so she's getting water stuff. We've got low crude fish market, and she's coming. I just wanted to include that sketch. And old boats and trawlers, the water's polluted from industry and something. Then move 50 yards west of the sign target, face the west, and describe the most prominent man-made that you see. And let's see. Feels like an industrial wharf area, coming and going of business transactions and shipment movements. Fish market has a good reputation. It's usually used mostly by businesses and restaurants and hotels. It's in an out-of-the-way area, not conducive to foot traffic. And she's getting a straight cat. I keep seeing the marketing Cleveland. Wet cement floors, large wooden tables and edges, ice and fish. Then she's seeing old walk-in freezer with a bad fitting door. It was a little cold out for sure. Not necessarily the freezer, but it was cold temperature day. Fishy smells, but not bad like rotten. Bad smells from refrigerator fumes like old ice rink. Diesel fumes from trucks, old hot. Grease smell like a fair or a fish fry. The place feels tired and unfriendly, and people are business as usual. fancy is encroaching on an old style of revenue. And that bridge was refurbished and finished and opened and had a ceremony in 2012. So, Michelle, this was your session, or Lynn. I know you put a lot of work into this, into both sessions that we're not going over. Lynn, did you have anything to say insofar as, her sketches?
Both the sketches and the summary there.
Mm-hmm.
When you were showing that on Google Maps,
mm-hmm.
you touched one end of the bridge, and it said there was something about a.
Mm-hmm.
Was it a museum or?
Treasure Island Park.
No, going over to the other end.
This bridge?
No, the other end of that bridge.
All right.
Look to your right.
Sorry.
Well, when you were looking at it up above, from up above, there was something that said there was a museum or a park or something like that. Maybe it is this other bridge. I don't know.
No, Treasure Island Park, we touched on that. And then it said Adams Street Bridge all by itself right there.
All right.
Great Miami River and Clouds. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, well, I just thought that she was picking up on something that was not in the picture, which is a very common thing to do. Generally, a remote viewer can actually see the picture better than somebody looking straight at it.
There was a restaurant down on the river. I'm trying to think where exactly that is, but trying to remember. I actually have to shut my eyes and drive in my head. And it's called Treasure Island, and it was a restaurant, and it was Japanese, and it is. It's back down the river a little ways. Okay. So anyway, for throwing that out there just for the heck of it, I guess. All right. So anyway, I know we have some extra added what I think's going on here, but there is an ice rink there. She's getting a lot of information about cold and ice and temperatures and smells and the fact that there's diesel fuel and traffic. And I don't think her sketch is that bad. She's got the pillars and there are panels, and in between we have the railing right here. Each of those has holes in it. So the proportion and stuff, the purists would get all excited about proportions and whatever. But hey, she's a basic, just going intermediate student. And for that level of viewing, I think that's pretty remarkable.
This is very remarkable, and it's not just beginners that have trouble with the proportions and all that. There are very, very few remote viewers who can draw a sketch like say Mel Riley can, and have it be accurate. And this is actually useful to analysts, because a viewer will tend to expand and draw larger those things that are more important about a target, and shrink those things that are not important. And so an analyst looking at a sketch can generally tell where the important stuff is by the distortion in the sketch. And so this is one of the beautiful things about CRV, is that they have found a way to make every problem into a way to get more information about the target.
Congratulations on your session, Michelle.
Session.
Yep. All right, let's see. Oops. This summary, it didn't come through very readable, but it has, I didn't want to eliminate any sketches. Let me see if I can get this down so we can see it a little better. Not so fuzzy. I didn't want to eliminate the opportunity to look at sketches. And actually, I'm pretty impressed with what Pavel's turning in as far as his move commands and how he moves himself around at the site. Like he asks himself questions and cues himself. And here here's a P5. Move 50 yards west of the assigned target. Face west, describe the most predominant man-made that you see. And so then he started out and got round, bulky squares. And then he got a straight cat of Statue of Liberty. And so then he P5'd that because he wanted to see what was in there. And he's got standing on something. Something is squarish. Tall, attached to. Darn it, we should have made that word out. What is this like Statue of Liberty? Tall, monumental, made of something. Sand texture has meaning what is not like the Statue of Liberty. Fluid inside, round, high, helps the city. Something to do with water distribution. I mean, if we were to go over this, this is really an amazing session. We don't have that many, and we still have an hour and 15 minutes. Okay.
That was made of concrete, it said.
Yeah, okay. Is that what that word was? Let me see if I can. Okay. And he goes right in, because it's a retasking, so he goes right into the phase 4 matrix. Move to the target original location from initial tasking and describe. And so we got site contact. And I like it. Looks like home, empty and vast. Move 50 yards west of the assigned target. Okay, there's where we dropped in and started talking. So something to do with water distribution. Looks to me like we've got some Spanish there, which I don't read Spanish. Sorry, I apologize. Hard, concrete-like, composition. Move to the target, touch it, describe. Composition. Hard, concrete, sandy gray, tough, tall. How tall? Taller than 2 storm houses? 2-story house, geez. Taller than 2-story house tall. And move to the target, describe physical characteristics. Black, made of, he's got small pieces, the rectangular one on the other shattered. Looks like shattered. Reflects sun from a distance. Got silver shining, ugly and burning. And coming towards me. Oh, little stray cat over here of Hogwarts. Then we're P5ing. Who wants to know why it reminds him of Hogwarts? Which that's from Harry Potter. Let's see. School, place to learn. Study place, not ordinary, something to do with ideas not accepted to the public. Move to the target and describe the purpose. Moving ideas. Office space, teaching, sport, amusement, arena, parking, storage, historic, exhibition, museum, something looks like green-wise. That's not it. Move to the target, most prominent man-made that you see, tasker's intent, and describe. Oval, black, showy, shiny, splendid. Oranges, open, gloss, critical mass, shiny. And then perceptions inside the sketch, we've got area 1 is silver and red, area 2, white, metallic, shiny, slick, heavy. 2 is red, 3 is white, metallic, shiny, slick, and heavy. Move to the most talkative person, knowledgeable person at the site that would reveal the purpose of the most predominant man-made and describe. Oops. That would maybe be the engineer across time and space. Green feels old. Something. Mustache in the 60s. I didn't have a mustache in the 60s. I can beg off that. However, we're getting stray cats of hospital and medical. What's the purpose of the man-made historic site in memory of those who died in war? Which war? Vietnam War. Describe most recognizable part of the target. Vietnam Memorial. And that's just north of there. And we've got I can't pick this out. Something like long and depressive. And took a break. Feels like I build a castle. Train is almost in. Oh, that's him. All right. Move to the target and describe. Tasker's intent. We're almost. Blue gray, oval stretching. Huge, tall, standing out. High centered. Elliptic, snowing. Held, white. Move to the target. Tasker's intent and describe. Same pretty much. And something is old. Bricks in the wall, white between, and seeing from above, oval design, orange. Library, research, study, medical. And so you can see he's moving himself around the target site, the location, fairly frequently, keeping his nose in the target, and he's curious. Then he's getting some, where are we at? What column? Looks like conceptuals. Stars in the sky, open ranch. Something about business is good. Ew, killing is my business and business is good. Ew, maybe a fisherman? There's a line right above that. Then for his summary, he does use outline summary form. It's a little fuzzy here. And then if I can get this, here's an example of an Excel summary sheet. I don't know how to get rid of this. I'm afraid I'll make everything go away. There we go. This is Bruce Miller's score sheet. And so you guys can see an example. Lynn, you want to talk about this? I know that we have a webinar in outline summaries coming up.
Yeah, actually, I think the summary that is already filled out on the session would be better, because this one is just giving instructions on how to do the thing. There you go.
I just changed the page. There we go.
Okay.
Trying not to mess it up on the screen, make it all go away, etc., etc. Okay,
Yeah.
so here is
Okay.
an example of an outline summary.
The predominant man-made is oval. It's tall. Okay. Now, notice how he indents under tall, like a few-story building, massive, made of concrete. Sandy texture has a meaning. Okay. What he's saying is that the tall is like a few-story building. And the tall is massive. The tallness of it is massive. The tallness of it is made out of concrete. Okay. I think if I were doing this, I would have put massive and made of concrete back over here in the second column to describe the prominent man-made. But he's saying in this summary that the tallness is made of concrete, the tallness has a sandy texture, and the tallness has meaning. And the meaning is historic. Now, in this, he's not saying specifically that the predominant man-made is historic. He's saying that the meaning of it is historic, and that's why he indented in. Okay? The tall part is round, and the roundness is above him. The tall part is fluid. I'm not sure about that. Oh, and the fluidity is inside. Okay? And so you can see how when you indent under something, it modifies the thing that you're indenting under. The surface down here, the surface, and he indents, it's the surface is with a texture made of rectangulars and triangles. Now, he's not saying there are many surfaces, he's saying there are many rectangles and triangles, one by the other, mosaic-like, colorful, and reflects the sun. He's not saying that the surface reflects the sun or that the predominant man-made reflects the sun. He's talking strictly about the rectangles and triangles. And so this is how you do a summary, and this is how it's read. Now, you may wonder why it's done this way, and a lot of people just balk because, I mean, they don't teach this in grade school anymore. But a computer, in order to parse all of these things and to judge each one of these things, must have it stand alone, okay? And it must be able to tell what it refers to. For instance, let's just say, okay, he's got red right here. And you look at the most predominant thing and it's not red. That would be, the red would be wrong, okay? But what if you said, oh, but there's something red in the picture. It's over, there's a kid with a balloon over here that's red. A lot of people would then give themselves credit for red, whereas what they said was the predominant thing is red, and the computer would say, no, the predominant thing is not red. I don't care what else is red in the thing, in the feedback picture. You said the predominant thing was red and it's not, so you get a negative, you get a no. And this is the only way that the computer can score your sessions, add them up, find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, find out how well and how accurate you do, and the computer will generate a dependability rating for you. And this is one of the things that customers, whether business, police, or whoever, want to know. They want to know, if you tell me something is so-and-so at the target, how much can I depend on you being right? And a lot of people, when they start out, they say, oh, look at everything I didn't get. Well, hey, every session you ever do, there's going to be a million things you didn't get. What we're really concerned about is if you say red, how much can I depend on you to be right? And that's what the police are concerned with. That's what businesses are concerned with, because they could lose millions of dollars, if you're wrong. And especially like missing children and things, you've got to be dependable. And so doing this outline this way will teach you in your own mind to be organized and dependable. We have an example of an essay session where it says there is a house on a hill. It is grassy. Okay, just in those two sentences, you've already got confusion. What's grassy? The house or the hill? I've seen grassy houses, so doing it this way will get you organized in your mind. It'll get your session organized, and all of a sudden, all of that confusion that's been just hitting you randomly, all of a sudden you get contact with the target. Many times you will get your true contact with the target as you write the summary. Okay, the session will only prepare you for writing the summary where you actually get in touch with the target. And so this is how an outline goes, an outline summary goes. And I can tell you right now, it is more dependable. It is more readable. Once you learn how to read it, it's more readable and it makes more sense and it's more coherent than any essay you will ever write. Okay, run-on paragraphs in remote viewing, well, in any psychic work, are just the bane of the whole field. And so anyway, if you're ever really wanting to do something with your remote viewing, at first, learning it this way is like pulling teeth, and I feel for you. But once you learn to do it this way, you'll realize how much this helps you view, how much it organizes things, and how much dependability this will show to some person who says they want to use you for work. Okay? So anyway, I'll put that soapbox away and go back to shutting up again.
Did you happen to notice this? There's a part of the target that's recognizable, long, going under, surrounded by a wall, high, shiny black with letters and numbers on it, off-white engraved in.
Look at this. Okay, there's a part of the target that's recognizable, long, going under, surrounded by a wall. Now, the part of the target is not high, but the wall is high, shiny black, and has letters.
Mm-hmm.
The part of the target and the wall are not off-white and engraved. It's the letters and numbers that are off-white and engraved.
Mm-hmm.
This is a beautiful way to do it. There is no, there's no confusion here. And then he comes back out and says that part of the target is depressing. He didn't say the numbers of the wall or whatever, but that part of the target is depressing.
And then he has conceptual, the place where you can learn, not ordinary knowledge. And study place, amusement, sport arena, exhibition, historic, related to the Vietnam War. And, the bridge leads to, the purpose of this bridge is to get to the other side, and I don't know, I don't mean to waffle. So the bridge itself doesn't provide these things, but the purpose of the bridge gets you to the other side of the river where all of these things are. So that, that'll probably catch a fair amount of heck for that, and there's a library right there too. So anyhow, Mr. Trela, would you like to say anything about your session? You're turning into a really inquisitive, spot-on viewer.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, we have time. Go ahead. We're good. So we can take the mute off your mic, or you can type. And he's even got here, there's an element on the side on the bottom that's red and is made of material that looks like red brick.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot, for opportunity to share. So I don't have too much time to do sessions. The only thing I just, try to do it when I commute. So that's why the handwriting is so bad, because usually I do it in the train. But actually, I have a question, because when we do those summaries, I always thought that more important for the client would be summary than you can basically read. So it would be some kind of like an essay. But who is responsible actually in the real world? When you have those managers, analysts, and everyone working together for the client, who is responsible actually for getting this summary for the client? Because I don't think that client will be able to grasp the idea what this target is about reading summary like this. So is the viewer responsible for doing this, or analyst or manager with the discuss? They probably have to discuss this with the viewer. How does it work in real operations actually?
The person responsible for doing that, and you're right. Don't hand this to a customer. Okay. The person responsible for doing that is whoever is dealing with the customer. Mm-hmm. Ideally, that will be a project manager, and you'll be working with a team. But if you yourself are doing it, I would go ahead and do your summary in this form here. And then from this form, just put these things together. Can you go back up just a tiny bit, Teresa?
Sure. Tell me where.
That right there.
Okay.
Okay. And to give to the customer, what you would do is you would make a paragraph, and it would say, there's a part of the target that's recognizable, long, that goes under something, and is surrounded by a wall, period. The wall is high, shiny, black, and has letters and numbers on it, period. The letters and numbers are off-white and engraved, okay? And so many times when you yourself are working with the customer, you don't want to give them this outline summary, but you also don't want to give them a run-on paragraph or a run-on essay that says, there's a part of the target that's recognizable, and then 3 paragraphs later you go back and you say, oh yeah, that part that's recognizable is long and it goes under something. And that's the way essay summaries wind up if they're written that way originally. Now, when we do the worldwide database, it's going to require everybody to put in things in this outline format, simply because the computer, you get IBM's biggest computer, Watson, and it cannot parse out paragraphs. So you have to put it into computer readable form. But like I say, if you're working alone, do this right here. Do the outline, and then write your paragraphs from this outline, and I guarantee you will have an extremely coherent, professionally written summary to give to the client. If you just write whatever comes to mind, it's going to be confusing for the client no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a very good question, and the answer is whoever deals with the client is the one who's in the end responsible for putting this into client ease, police ease or business ease or whatever, whatever language the client speaks. Good question.
Would you be tempted to add like more nouns to the summary for the client, that's to have to be more specific, or you would rather leave it the way, to keep as little nouns as possible?
I didn't get most of that. I'm sorry. What was the question?
He's wondering about, should you add nouns so that it makes more sense, or should you avoid that?
In the summary, I would not worry about nouns such as there is a part of the target. You've got two nouns right there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are unavoidable. But I would not say, if I think it's a car, I would not say there is a part of the car that is recognizable. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you would not be tempted to name things. You would just try to be neutral as possible.
Yeah, and would I be tempted to go ahead and put nouns in? Of course. Over 20 years of time, have I learned the hard way that you're going to get bitten on the rear end if you do that. Yeah, I've learned that the hard way, and I have basically had the nouns beaten out of me over the years. It's a good lesson to learn early.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Hope it helps.
Oh yes, it helps a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. I just grabbed Bob's session, and actually Bob's only been doing CRV for a couple of weeks. He's done some viewing using another program, and he's trying to expand how he views. And so, I mean, he's literally, this is like his third target, I think, that I've been involved in. And so it's like retasking. He's even trying a retasking insofar as this is his only session that he's turned in. So he knows that there's retasking involved, so he didn't get a chance to do 2 sessions. So he did manage to get 9 pages of doc data, and he's crossing over his structure and learning how to do it correct.
Great structure.
Yeah, and I only sent back like 1 or 2 sessions with comments going, here's where you write this, here's where you write that. And so he's working on doing that.
I think what most people don't realize is that there are reasons that have developed through databasing and trial and error and research and all that for every little thing in CRV, and that every little rule, nitpicky as it can get, if followed, will make you a better viewer. And that has been proven out over close to 40 years now, that, I tell people who teach other methods that I'm not saying that CRV is better than their method will be, in 40 years, but we're just 40 years further down the road. We've got 40 years of learning behind us, and trial and error, and making stupid mistakes and learning from them and all that. And so, if you're just coming into CRV, I think you're gonna have a lot of questions as to why something is a certain way. Be sure and ask them, because there is always a reason why. And I think you'll like the CRV.
Sorry, we're rotating. We're rotating. I was just trying to. I'm not obviously proficient at this. Trying not to. There. Okay. Now we can look at it without all tipping our heads like Forrest Gump. All right. So here is his phase 3 sketch, and he does have. There's a flat surface. There's water. And there's a biological, and there's quick movement and energy, and there's a hill-like irregular structure, and he has it towards the right or the west. So depending on how his site orientation went. And let's get back so I can get this rotated again. And of course, y'all stand on your heads tonight. You feeling good about that?
Of course, that levee is the hill-like structure.
You think? You think it wasn't the bridge? I'm talking out loud here. I'm paying attention to flipping. Okay.
No, I think that hill-like thing was the levee. I mean, that levee is the biggest thing. The only thing bigger than the levee is the river itself.
Just because it's long? It's not taller than the bridge.
I'll bet that it is.
Oh, sorry.
Bottom of the levee. I'll bet the levee is taller than the bridge.
Bridge sits on top of it. Are you talking the way it was dug into the ground for the first construction part?
Yeah, probably so.
Okay.
We used to live for a while right at the foot of the levee, and of course we'd go up and go fishing on the levee, but the levee was, you know, you'd walk up a little hill, and then all of a sudden here was this river way below you, and those levees get pretty big. Now, this
here
is
you can you see the picture? The bridge is like sitting, the ends of it are on top of the levee. So, but you're right, as far as what it took to construct it, now that would probably, I got you in concept.
Yeah.
Okay, so here is his summary. He's not technically a beginning viewer, but his summary for CRV is: target is related to biological, land, structure, water, and motion energetics, and the aspects of the biological are clean and smell, smooth textured, red, white, black, and green are associated colors, and there is activity involved that is producing a whooshing sound, and the temps are cool, speedy movement, and a sense of exhilaration. I have to admit, I was tossing that bread pretty fast. They were kind of hungry. Those little bills were just a-going. And aspects of the land are flat, cool, flat, hard, green, open, wide. There are man-made elements. Aspects of the structure are hilly, tall, uneven, and steep, also sloping and vertical. Aspects of the water are blue, shallow, rippling, shimmering, fresh, and peaceful. Aspects of the motion energetics are white, flashy, clean, irregular, large, and diagonal. Overall composition seems to be a natural environment. And
very good. This is another way of organizing your summary. Notice that these are not just run-on paragraphs. These are actually, what he's taken is the gestalts. He had water, motion, energetics, and all that. And he says the water, aspects of the water are blue, shallow, and so on. And so it organizes the information and makes it, you know, where it makes more sense, and you don't have one thing going back to another paragraph and any oh yes and all that. So this is another way to organize your summary, and it's a very good way to do it. It really helps you in the remote viewing and to get the information across to whoever reads it. A good summary.
Bob, this was your session. Did you want to say anything about it? Okay, if you need to, you feel free to speak up, okay? You can type, or you can, we can unmute your mic. Nice job. Yeah, let's see. Pat, I'm sorry, are you freestyle, or do you consider yourself a certain methodology that I should be giving reference to with your session? Go, I see. Go ahead.
Generally, I will try and avoid doing what I did here. I had a lot of trouble with this in any site contact. It's like, I'm not getting data with this. I'm not getting data with this. So, sitting on a back piece of paper, I just thought, I'll just put myself into a light trance. It's called Focus 10. It's a very beginner Monroe hemisphere stage, just to try and break out a little piece of data. And then when I've got a few bits, you know, some good, some bad, I'll snap out of that, I'll come away, and I'll just try and do what for me is a regular session, which is do a tag, do an ideogram, which is basically what CLV begins with, and try and just keep it light and relaxed around that, rather than being in a light hypnagogic trance, which is ERV, and you can't do sessions when you're doing that. I try and avoid that if I can. But on this occasion, because I was having a data block, I just thought, okay, let's just try just to get some basic stuff and just then break that into a regular session.
And I purposely did not include in the feedback images of the cemetery or the football field or the water park or Hobart Arena.
Actually, you did. When you showed us the Google map, that was feedback.
But
and if you notice the football field,
right,
has a 5-pointed star on each side of the field.
Oh my word!
Really? I was thinking he was fixated on the cemetery. All right. Oh, yeah? Right there? The star? Whoa. Sorry, I am not good at that. I'm not good at that.
Yeah, he had good sight contact here.
Yeah, that's why but I thought he had the cemetery. Ooh, I am so sorry. I am not good.
See, that's analyst stray cat.
Oh, yeah, I knew he had sight contact. I even emailed him and told him I liked this session.
Yeah, I didn't get you feeding the geese, which was the target. You said, do the target, then move 50 meters west, and that the idea was we've got a bridge. So from that point of view, it's a bust. But, yeah, I'm kind of happy with it because it's a predominant feature. It's pretty close to where you were. So, and also the school there has a flat roof, which is something else I noticed. So, not bad. Not bad.
But if I would have zeroed in on the cemetery, not to fight with you, however, and I don't mean you, Pat. Pat, I knew you had good location contact, and I could have moved you around. But the Arlington National Cemetery, I was just saying, I did not include feedback, close-up photos of all this stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, that was very well. Anyway, so, yeah.
Yeah. For Lynn, I did not include close-up feedback photos of all this stuff, and I definitely have not zoomed in on the cemetery. However, it's just out of camera range up to the,
Yeah, and if
a
you
little bit to the west.
Yeah.
and if you zoom in on it now, it becomes feedback.
Right. Exactly.
But when you did the flyover, the whole area,
Mhm.
it definitely showed the 5-pointed stars on the football field.
Mhm. However, the metal set in stone structure pointed upward. Well, maybe. The thing was, I'm trying to get to the sentence here that lets me tell you that there's a monument at the cemetery where you drive in that I think resembles that. Monument to fallen dead people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which we haven't shown yet, didn't plan to show, and didn't zoom in
You don't
on.
have to show it. You don't have to show
No,
it.
but
That's
I'm
fine.
just letting Lynn know, and I know that it becomes part of the feedback.
Okay.
So,
And this is an excellent example of winking about the actual site rather than winking about the feedback. And it shows that he actually went to the assigned target location instead of going to the feedback. Yeah.
So I was pretty happy to book your session. Yeah. And look at this, gridiron football goal area. Sorry. Oh, just a text coming in. It'll shush in a minute if you can hear that. But anyway, and now we've got repeated but not all the same sketch and headstones.
Yep.
So that's what, you're getting the whole location here. You're hopping around the football field, the cemetery, then the ideogram. Well, that's your ideogram. Let's see. You've got an AOL of a golf course. Flags, stars and stripes hanging. Inside the place, people discussing, lecturing, learning. And we've got the opportunity for the school, which is just north of the football field. And I don't know if there's flags flying out here today or not.
But just a little side note, one of the trainings that we went through was remote viewing flags, because when he described that flag, he just told you what country it's in. And in the military, we went through a whole long, huge training of just describing targeted flags. And you talk about a boring month of training. I mean, just bored stiff, and yet we wound up to where once we got to a site, we might look at zoom to the nearest flag and describe. And of course, if it had stars and stripes on it, we knew it was an American flag. We immediately ended the session because we were never allowed to remote view on U.S. citizens. But anyway, it was always a very important bit of information as to where the country was, where the target was.
But U.S. flags are flying all over the world, so I think it would be important that you not take that 100%, take it to the bank without looking around.
Yeah, that's true. But even still, let's say it was the U.S. embassy in a foreign country. Once we saw the U.S. flag, we would quit viewing. We were never allowed to view, invade the privacy of U.S. citizens without written permission from Congress, written instructions from Congress. So it actually would take an act of Congress to get us to spy on a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
And that was just a precaution. I mean, if you're doing training, must have been hundreds of flags, hundreds.
Nice session, sir.
Yeah, the actual scans
Very nice.
were good, but Yeah, headstones there, sort of different face represented, and then flat roof of the school, inside the school. It hasn't come out too well, but it's there. I didn't get the geese, though. I didn't get the geese. And they were the target. That's the slightly vexing thing.
The thing, and I knew you beat yourself up about that, but just the thing is, you got the location, and that was part of the tasking as well.
Right. And so it's kind of wide focus rather than narrow focus. Yeah. Okay.
It's useful in operations. Okay, you did some great remote viewing work.
And like I was saying earlier, you know, every target you ever do, there will be a million things that you should have also gotten, but nobody cares about that. What they want is, if you describe this target, how much can I depend on you to be accurate? And from the looks of this, I think you get a gold star. You're pretty accurate on this.
Okay, I guess I'm done. Thanks.
Well then, nice work. Let's see, grabbing another one. Here's John. And Marco, I don't know if you sent one in or not. I didn't think you did. Mojo, you did. We're coming. Let's see. Here's John. We have 7 pages, and he is, this is retasking, so we're moved face to west of the target site, describe dominant man-made. So he is off and running. And there we're starting to get the bridge on its side, I think.
Nice sketch.
Yep. And then he gets right down into some nitty-gritty of this, what I think is possibly related to the construction of this thing. Let me get this back. Like I said, I didn't have a chance, as usual, to, go over these with a fine-tooth comb. But he's got curved, large, metallic white, above ground, hard, multi-beamed, special purpose, commercial ambiance, music sounds. There is traffic going over there. I don't mean to waffle, but some of them probably have radios on. That'd be a maybe. We had actually, you take care, Mr. Trela. Talk to you later. Fun events. We had a huge event by this bridge this summer, and people are still talking about it here in town. So, and it was all about music, and it was a music group that only went to, I think, 5 locations. They chose small towns in the USA, and the levee was a scene of people camping, and there were lots of concerts. This was a huge deal across the country, not just here. So anyway, scheduled events, cross beams.
This brings up a point too that most viewers don't realize. Just as you can be attracted in space to something next to the target or something, you can be attracted off in time too.
And it was a huge deal. So that's only been August, I think, maybe the end of July. Anyway, cross beamed in a V-shaped pattern. So here he is doing timelines, which I wanted to let you all have the opportunity to see, and distance rather. I said time. So here he's trying to get a footage on this. And multi-purpose connects, is attractive, and Somerville. I should have looked up Somerville. He's got target is a dominant man-made west of target location. It's man-made structure, hard beamed construction, part and curved top part. Part is curved, top part, see-through, girder-like, white color above ground, connects to two land masses. He's got 1,100 feet long. I think the information on the bridge is technically 500, but and that's from the architects. Multi-purpose, commercial ambiance, event ambiance, fun, human activity, scheduled events, commemorative, beginning, artistic ambiance, and I've got to look up Somerville. What does that mean? And John, maybe you can tell us what that means to you. That'd be the quickest. And motion is what has aspects of loose, swinging, repetitive, mid-air, hanging activity. And then here is another outline summary example. So John, any comments? And Lynn, go ahead.
Looking good. It looks like he has really good sight contact.
Yeah, I thought he was, if you took just pure perceptions to describe that bridge.
That's right. You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's speechless, John. Where's John? Yeah, is he still in here someplace?
Trying to read the print here.
Oh, he is not here. Doggone it. Sorry, I can make this bigger for you.
I like the organization of this too.
Yeah, as far as pure perceptions, I thought he nailed that bridge pretty much.
Yeah. I like this some curve 2 in number, which is on top.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 of these little
Outlooks.
observation posts along the side of the bridge.
Mm-hmm. There are 2 on each side. Yep.
Yeah.
Simply amazing.
That's some amazing stuff people can do.
Yep. All right. Let me close that one since he's not here and he's gone. Let me see. Moving right on down. Here's Mojo's, and he's totally self-taught, learning at home. Just started hanging out with us in just before Christmas. So this is his retasking. And I'm going to scroll down. He's got 14 pages. So we're going to scroll down and catch any sketches here, and we'll get to his summary. He's got, let's see, it's adventurous, feels like an escalator, and he's smelling smoky, fiery smells, and non-hazardous. That was an interesting little sound. Sounded like a camera. He's got a P7, get your coat, come with me, we're going on up. Oh, P2. Facing north and getting back to, looks like factory. You put that over under AOLs. Good job. It's now. Scrolling down to his summary here. Sorry, got sidetracked by the sketch.
I was just wondering if the part that says "come with me, let's get going," if that was an AI. Sure sounded like it. Yeah.
Okay, because he gets a tremendous amount of information in his sessions. Oops, sorry. That's why I just can't go over. We're doing okay time-wise. I can't do this line by line for everybody. Okay, summary. Move 50 years. Oh, left of target and describe most predominant. Left, he moved left. Oh, instead of west.
And that's 50 yards.
Okay, 50 yards left of the target and describe most predominant man-made you see. Okay. Structure of building with corridor, ambiance, indoor, big hall or palace, or elegant building. It seems fancy. This corridor type of thing seems narrow, curving at one point. Breathtaking, seems beautiful, makes me feel adventurous, but at the same time, like a lawyer, it seems to be out in a wild wasteland. Then again, ambience of a small town, western type, perhaps like Indian western type. At target, something is metallic and association. Adventures feels almost as if it's an escalator. Smells something smoky or fiery. I get an ambiance of that's part of the job, and it's non-hazardous. It has something to do with farming. An AI of hearing a voice back at the factory. Oh, that's a great run. Outdoors, noisy ambience. Mojo, you can see a little bit how to maybe organize your summaries a little bit in a line fashion. Let's see. I've been searching for something straight, suspicious, barrier, then I get a voice thing. Okay. Something on fire, crash at the site. Something wet and movement going fast. And passing involved, something overpowering. The air seems moist, has a whitish look to it. It's warm outdoors and it's empty. Feeling like it was racing forward. There's abrasive parts to it, perceptions of smoky again. I don't know if you got pulled to this huge festival where there's camping this summer or not. Something is mountainy. Bandmade is big and strong. Grimy and grindy has yellowish color to it. That bridge, before they replaced it, was gray. I'm just saying. Seems bent on its side, seems steel and iron works attempted. Background of what seems to be like a brickwork of something like it. Chain pulling and dragging. There's ambience of being leaves in a woods. Machinery present. Sorry, I'm looking for like gestalts and stuff to pull out of here. Something seems like it was trapped and caught. Powdery substance. Gadgets, links, unraveling of something. Friction doesn't seem to move out of its place. Energy fields flowing forward, something attached to it. There's spin and swiveling, broad range of chopping. And he's hearing a horn honk honk. So, lots of stuff. I think there's a fair amount of hits in there, but there's an awful lot of stuff, period. So, Questions, comments? I'm not too sure which exact part we want to address.
I like that last paragraph that was talking about, I mean, it totally describes the water going under the bridge. I don't think there's any ambiguity at all about that one.
It is a nice river, too.
Yeah, simple energy fields flowing forward.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and little spin to it, little swiveling, broad range of chopping, you know. Yeah, I think that last paragraph is extremely clear.
In that particular river, there are no rapids or anything. The water will move fast when it's high. And I'm not sure. He's got a lot of activity, and it hasn't been that long ago when they just reopened it last year. And it was a huge construction job. So as I was skimming this, I was kind of wondering. I mean, there was welding going on, and smoke, and fire, and, you know, rebar, and all that stuff. And I'm not meaning to waffle, but you have to consider whether or not he might have not. Maybe a plain old bridge wasn't what was exciting for him. Maybe the construction was more interesting. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, on most sites, there are going to be what's called temporal attractors.
Mm-hmm.
There are attractors in time, and a monitor. If the monitor knows that it's present time, many times the monitor will just have to keep saying to the viewer, you know, move to the present time and describe, because they'll be attracted off to something that happened a year ago or a year from now. And the monitor, once the monitor realizes that they're jumping here and there on temporal attractors, the monitor will start saying, you know, move to the present time and describe. And monitors in their monitor training are trained to recognize things like that.
So as he's sitting at home, no manual or whatever, you know, he's learning things like move to the assigned target and describe, because he didn't know any of this stuff a month and a half ago.
And I would say he's doing really, really well here.
Other than the fact that he's been glued to our webinars and other stuff for months. So he's learning things like move to the assigned target and describe, and you know, the little tips that we're teaching him. So if he were to have a monitor at home who could give him a move command and view in the present time, what would be his takeaway for this, do you think?
You mean for this summary, if we considered it all as present time?
Yeah, or if he did land at the construction, because it's a temporal attractor, and he wants to actually view in present time. So if he tells himself to move,
the command,
just move to the assigned target and describe, well, he needs to view it at the time that the feedback was taken.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then he would just say, every now and then, maybe once every page or something like that, just as sort of insurance, you can always tell yourself, move to the present time and describe. You should write it down when you do. Most people don't, but it keeps them, you know, it keeps them on track. But that would mean that in the tasking, it would have to say present time. What he would say on this one is move to the time of the event and describe. Because you're no, move to the time of the activity. I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Activity at a location. Yeah. Move to the time of the activity and describe. So you know, whatever whatever's there. And if you don't tell them anything in the tasking, then they have no idea what time to go to, and so
Right.
you know, it's a problem.
Pat says, I used at the time the picture was captured when tasking.
That's good. That's good. Just remember to view the target at the time the picture was captured. Don't view the picture.
Right. Okay, let's see, we have Terry, and she's new at retasking as well, but is ready to give it a go. And describe that which you say are multiple biologicals in more detail. So I started her out, that's what I told her to do, to get site contact again, because she's really new at this. And so she's got there's a curved entrance and working together, and the biologicals are lined up, following one another, climbing to the entrance, and they're in a common cause, they're gathering, they're working on something, and she's straight catting medical personnel. Then lots of biologicals together and straight cats of astronaut and sheep. And she's got a sketch coming in. Move 50 yards to the west, face the west, and describe most predominant man-made that you perceive. Tall, vertical man-made, soaring, slender, tapering towards the top, pointed at the peak, sided, not rounded, water in view. Triangular, vertically lined, distant edges. And she's got something strong at the peak, an energy of force emitted at the peak.
Wasn't a Christmas tree out there, was it?
Nope, there was one downtown. And biologicals here for observation purposes, importance to observation, seriousness to purpose, discovery purpose. She's enlarging on her sketch. All right, and she's got multiple people gathering together for a common purpose. Impression of people wearing loosely fitted white coverings. They seem to be moving in lines, following one another towards a common destination within a structure. Observational feel to their purpose, however, it doesn't feel touristy. Serious and focused, like they are mission-oriented, attempting to solve a problem or answer a question. Hushed, thoughtful communication seems to take place among them, like an exchange of ideas or perceptions, and a feeling of maleness, but I don't sense females. And then she moves 50 yards west. Man-made element consists of what appears to be a tall tower-like vertical structure, but it's unclear whether it has cylinder or square shape. I think maybe squared. Rustic, older feel to it, may be constructed of stone, wood with irregular window openings without coverings, situated at odd points, may be horizontally lined up from top to bottom, which may be the result of stone placement. Feels like it's built layer upon layer like stones would be. At least one or more of the entrances or doorways seems to be curved. The dome of this structure appears to be of a triangular shape, which may be gracefully curved inwards at the peak, may be vertically lined from the tip to the base of the triangle, or the frame may be constructed in verticals. solid and windowless exterior, but feels open within. May have a series of beams inside. Sounds like it echoes. There's an odd feeling at the point or peak. It feels like it has important and possibly powerful energy which seems to emit from the tip, although it may just be a light. Main focus of this man-made structure takes place within the triangle-shaped top. There appears to be at least one, possibly multiple, exterior darkly colored platforms at various heights. See, it feels as though people access this man-made through a possibly curved entrance at the base, then ascend to the top via a spiraling or crisscross staircase, like a back and forth feel to it, and which seems to be the main purpose of the tower portion. Covered shaded platform open to the outside divides upper triangle-shaped portion and the tower portion of the structure, although there may be additional fence platforms at the points on the tower which seem uncovered and open. It's here where people appear to gather for a common purpose. Serious viewing or some type of monitoring takes place from this platform. Although the structure itself feels fairly basic, there's a scientific or question field affiliated with the people at the Stargate. Greenery and water can be viewed from this structure. It feels darker, as though the sun is setting. And she's getting straight cast of medical personnel, astronauts, and an observatory.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were showing the buildings, what is that big white thing at the top? You didn't. I don't think you said it was a mall. Is it?
No, it's the Hobart Arena.
Hobart Arena. Okay.
Yeah. The courthouse. You think it's the courthouse, Terry? I was wondering. Yeah, we can go there. I'm trying to go there. Maybe. And then again. Y'all take your medicine for seasickness? All right. No, we don't want the probate court. We want the courthouse. Sorry, I know I'm playing with the buttons.
From her description of the starting point, it sounded like a place where people are all dressed the same. I don't know, that may be what I was hearing from it, but like people were all dressed the same, like a jail, a courthouse, or whatever. And
I was thinking more like the Ducks, but what do I know? Oh, people dressed in white, that's a hospital.
No, I mean the place that she started.
Oh, yeah.
On the retasking.
Yeah.
She said it was a big place, and started describing people all dressed. Well, I guess the Ducks all look the same, but you know.
Yeah. Some of them were white too, not all.
Oh, really?
Yeah, only a few of them were white. We had a mixed group. Okay, so here is some of the courthouse. I don't think it's going to give us any different with Street View on that. Anyway, Terry, if you want to jump into anything other than the courthouse. Just moving us around again here. Oops. I think we went into outer space. Anyway, more comments. There. That's what I was trying to do. There was a photo shown earlier over the top of the gazebo and the top of the courthouse and the smokestack. Yep. That was another consideration I had.
Yeah. The structure and all of the summary, it has all the earmarks of her definitely being on a target there at the site. I mean, there's no wavering of it. There's no scattering or winking about in her summary or anything. And that's usually a good indicator that something was going on there, and she was in touch with something.
And yeah, there is a light. I'm not waffling there. I'm just mentioning there is a light in. There's a street lamp here. I'm pretty sure the courthouse has a light on top of it for planes and stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe the smokestack too, but it's not in this photo. I was wondering, she's saying people for sure, multiple people gathered together for common purpose. I don't know if anybody around there will be wearing white uniforms per se. Just thinking. I was actually going to go back to Michelle's session and see if she has a good nose for detail, and I was wondering if, in comparison, these two, she's good at. She picked up on like the chemical stuff in the water and whatever, and the fact that there's scanning. Public-oriented, expansive, fuel-smelling. Whoever's got their mic open, go ahead and talk. I'm just scanning and looking for. She's getting a lot of earth-moving, large mechanical stuff too. Males, young, middle age, robust physically, jump-suited, hard-hatted. There we go. I knew there was something. Logistically teamed, trade school, the school. I wonder. Just talking out loud. Precision motivated, harsh charters of time management, layout achievements. And then there's activity. If she fixated on the Hobart Arena, there's activity goes on in there too. So not making excuses. I just always like to consider things. Feels like an industrial wharf area. She's not necessarily saying they're suited in white. Anyway, sorry, I just like moseyed off there, compared a couple things. Comments? Did you want to say anything else, Terry? No, okay. No, I agree. Like everybody else, I am reasonably sure you've got enough perceptions in here that even though you're not describing duck feeding, I wanted you folks to mostly learn to negotiate your way around a location and learn to look for things that were prominent there and see how they might help an analyst who is trying to, or project manager or customer who's trying to figure out if there is good site contact at all, and what could be done to move somebody around and start probing for more detail. Lynn, do you have anything else you would like to add?
Just as a final word, you mean?
Sure, because I think we need to sort of wrap this up.
Yeah. What Pavel said, Pavel's question brings up a very important point. I think most viewers feel that it's their job to get everything about the site and do a perfect job and all that. And Pavel asked about whose responsibility is it to, write the thing for the final report so it's in reader ease. What a viewer needs to learn is that they aren't responsible for everything, and that the work that they do can easily be misled by a tasker giving the wrong tasking or improper tasking or instructions, retasking that's not specific, and so on. And so the viewer is not responsible for everything. And in actual operations, when you have a team viewing, the information of one viewer can be modified, just like you just did by looking back at Michelle's lesson, by comparison back and forth, and to gain greater understanding. And so what a viewer needs to realize is that you don't have to be perfect. All you have to do is you get an impression, you write it down, and you keep on going, and you let that impression come from your subconscious mind, and don't try to make sense out of it. Don't try to make a story out of it. Watch out for those nouns, because that's you making a story out of it. And otherwise, you don't have to be perfect to be an excellent remote viewer. And Pavel's question pointed that up very well. And I think that's something that every viewer needs to understand.
Thank you. Terry, I'll try and make a note to my mental self and check out for lights on top of those tall structures, because I think that they're there. But anyway, Lynn and I have been trying to put together something for all of you. There will be a webinar. I didn't want to cross too many targets and too many webinars and too many details until we finish this evening. There's a webinar coming up on Saturday where Lynn is going to talk again about summary formats, various forms, and outline summaries, and databasing. And he's going to be teaching us why the database needs things in the format that it speaks. So that'll be open to everyone in the community. There is a big database coming that everybody will be invited to use for their student work. It would be great for the data that's entered into it to eventually be used by the database to filter out operational viewers. But there's a student database that Lynn and Linda are building that the community itself will be able to use, so we're going to get started with that. And the thing is, until you know how to recognize your perceptions and score a session, what you put in there is like, yeah, I got something red at the site, but is it as meaningful if you describe the appropriate red thing at the site and scored it that way, so that your data that's going in isn't like you get 100% on everything? Because we all know that that's probably not going to be 100% accurate. So Lynn wants to do some instruction on that and making moves toward getting something for the entire community. Also, next month, we're going to continue along this same line. We're going to have a discussion in 2 weeks on how to, it might be 3, it's an odd time of year, but the next time we get together, we're going to discuss how to describe a structure, various types of structures, what we would look for as an analyst or a project manager in helping to describe different structures. And then you'll get coordinates for next month, but there are going to be a couple of opportunities for move commands and describing the location. And we'll be using the point system. You'll be starting at point A, which is the assigned target, and then moving to point B and then point C if you want to. And you don't have to have me retask you for this. You're in session, and you're either on target at point A or you're not, and you move to point B and you describe it so that we can definitely see that your perceptions match. And when you're ready, you move to point C. So anyway, it just is another opportunity to exercise some of the tools that you have in the toolbox and have fun with it. So that's next month's activity, and that's all I have. And that webinar on Saturday, I haven't scheduled it yet, so you can't register, but I'll be doing that here shortly. So, and that's going to mostly be Lynn's baby. I'll just be standing by to pull up forms if he needs them to demonstrate from, etc. So, with that, good night, everyone, and thanks for coming. Appreciate everything that you did.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming.